What separates entrepreneurial law firm owners from the rest isn't how hard they work, it's how they think about their futures.
Welcome to the Lawyer Millionaire Podcast, the show where law firm owners learn to build wealth, scale their firms, and design the life of freedom they deserve. Hosted by Darren Wurz, business and wealth advisor for law firm owners and author of The Lawyer Millionaire, this podcast delivers the strategies and inspiration you need to break free from the grind and become the financial success you envision. Let's dive in.
All right, my friend, we are excited to be joined today by Tona of Tona Law Firm. I'm really excited to have you on the show today. Welcome.
Thanks, Darren. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Yeah, I've been seeing your stuff on LinkedIn and you've built a great law practice. So really excited for today's conversation and to get into the nitty gritty of what's been successful for you and, how you've built your law practice and how you're thinking about the future. I know one topic that you're really passionate about lately has been succession planning. And we've talked on the show about succession planning before. Having gone through some of that yourself and having talked with a lot of law firm owners, what would you say is the biggest myth that you hear in the industry about succession planning?
Probably the one I hear most frequently is you can't sell a law practice, right? Either people don't think there's value there or that it can't be done.
Yeah, I love that one. And I've encountered that a lot. It seems to me I get that one a lot. I also get some folks who are a little bit maybe too optimistic about how much they could get for their law practice, but definitely hear that one a lot. Is that something that you thought when you started to kind of look into the idea of succession planning?
For me, no. I've always been entrepreneurial, and I think if you're entrepreneurial, you always build with the exit in mind.
Ooh,
right?
Yes.
So I'm a huge fan of that, but then probably the number 1.5 that I'd say is the most frequently repeated myth is what you said, which is, my firm is worth X, and X is clearly a multiple that you're not going to see unless you're a platform law firm that, hedge funds are looking at, and you've got to be making, tons and tons of money and have operations and systems all sewn up. So there's that wide disparity of you can't do it. And then, I can do it and I want this much. What you want is irrelevant, right?
Yeah.
It's really what's the market going to bear.
Absolutely. And that's why I'm so passionate about helping law firm owners build wealth outside of their law firm. It's a nice bonus to get definitely down the road. One of the pushbacks that I see a lot from law firm owners is they think, I don't ever want to sell my law firm. I'm just going to do this forever. So what do I need to do succession planning for, right?
That's insane. That's insane. Because you get sick, you get older, and maybe it's just the phase that I'm at in my life. But, a lot of the law practice owners that I mastermind with and all of that, we're all around that age bracket. And I know people that have successfully exited and they don't regret it. Right. So, to say you never want to do it, at some point, someone's going to come knocking, whether it's the Grim Reaper or somebody else, and you'll be forced to sell.
I think that is something that law firm owners are afraid of, that they will regret it, that they will not have anything to look forward to. Let me ask you a little bit about your succession plan. Is there a definitive timeline, or you just have the pieces in place? What does it look like for you?
I have the pieces in place, and right now we're kind of, again, I'm doing succession planning once every 2 weeks. I meet with somebody who's kind of helping me figure out what does it look like after the fact. Right? Of if you were to sell, what would that look like? If you were to transfer ownership either internally to a successor or externally to a successor. There's a lot of M&A going on in the space right now.
Yeah.
And I think that lawyers that don't prepare are either going to get run over by it or they're going to miss the boat. Right? It's that two extremes again, right? If you put your head down and you're like, I'm just going to be the best attorney ever and I'm not going to prepare for succession and I'm not going to look at AI, then you'll just get run over by what is going to happen in the market. Because the market doesn't care, right? Yeah. The market just unforgiving that way. It doesn't care.
Absolutely. Yeah. So just for context, tell us a little bit about kind of the size and scope of your practice and how did you start this whole thing?
I started like everybody else. I started with a laptop, and then my first hire was probably a legal secretary, if I was accurately assessing what the skill sets were at the beginning of my practice. And I scaled it. We're at 40 people now. We are looking to continue scaling, and we're bringing in some new business model stuff for 2026. I have my first executive hire who's a COO, and he's been fantastic. I have high-level operators throughout the organization at the management level. So for me, I finally got all the pieces in place of all the pain points I had that I couldn't figure out on my own.
Yeah. Now that is the size of law firm you can sell. And there is a size factor. It's hard to sell a solo practice, but if you have scaled and built it, now you have the machine. You have a machine that someone easily can step in, they can buy. It's kind of running on its own. That's a great place to be. So you've solved the number one problem, which is owner dependence, right?
Right. And I knew early on from some of my other coaching sessions that I was in was if I'm the hero, there's no value to somebody else, right? As a matter of fact, now when I talk to people and they're like, oh, I've got a business, because I'm looking to acquire as well. Yeah. And when I talk to them and they're like, I have a business and it generates this much. And I go, okay, how many attorneys do you have? Oh, none. I'm like, that's a yellow flag right out of the gate, because now I know I got to build this for leverage, which means for every 150 files, I need a pod, which includes an attorney, a paralegal, a legal assistant. And I know what that's going to cost me in New York. Right. Yeah. Or wherever, right? Wherever you go, there's a cost to that. So all of a sudden now it's going to open up the conversation of, well, is it really worth 3 or 4 million when I have to deduct out things that you weren't deducting out, like an additional pot of salaries?
Absolutely. Yeah. Now you said you've always been very entrepreneurial. Is this something that you were thinking about when you started your law practice, or did it kind of evolve?
I was always thinking about it as a business. Okay. I heard the E-Myth. I think I opened in 2001. By 2004, I had heard the E-Myth revisited. I started coaching with a group that was kind of their mantra, was build it like a business, build it like a business. And it just really resonated with me. So for me, that's now my passion point, though, like the business of law. Whereas I have excellent lawyers that work for me. They can handle any type of case. That's not my passion. So I want to let them stay in their lane. I stay in my lane. There's not a lot of overlap. We talk a lot of strategy about cases, but it's not really where my passion is not working on the litigation and the strategy and the trials,
Yep. I feel that. I feel like as you grow, as you get older, your passion changes a little bit. When you're young, you feel like you can do this forever, but you reach a certain point where you start to you reach that burnout point and you need additional support. It's not sustainable to work at that pace long term like that. I've felt that way in my own business.
Right. Unless you limit it to like a number of cases. But what I found is running the law firm the right way, that's a full-time job. That's a really full-time job. And so I always tell people, I don't know many people that can do both. I know one or two people that do it excellent, but they're really, really rare. Really, really rare.
100%. So, okay. So you started this in when? 2001?
2001.
2001 into today. So over 25 years, you built and scaled and grew. That's really incredible. Where do you think your entrepreneurial nature came from?
I always joke around, like, I was a born entrepreneur. So, like, I don't know that it's something that you learn. Entrepreneurialism is something I think you're either born for or you're not.
Mm-hmm.
And you might be able to learn, but I don't know. Like, so I want to say middle school, I started selling things, right? One of my family members came home from a bowling night with 100 pins that had a slogan on them. Like they would say, I'm cute or whatever it is. Actually, it said, I'm hot. 2 words. So I took that bag of 100 pins and I sold them for $1 a piece and made my first $100. And I was like, hey, nice. Can you get me more pins? Right. And then from there, I was like, selling comes natural. All of life is sales in the way I look at things. Mm-hmm. And so I was always entrepreneurial. I knew I wanted to build a business. I'm probably a better owner than I am a employee.
Yeah. Yeah. What do you really enjoy most now about the position you're in of leading and owning and orchestrating the firm? What really lights you up at this stage?
I love getting up every day and solving challenges, but it's also, I keep thinking about the people component, mm-hmm. because what we do is people driven. Yeah. It's not selling a product, right? So I'm trying to scale caring, hospitality, and that client experience.
Yeah.
And so I love the idea also of figuring out for each individual seat in the organization, what makes people really light up. Like you said, yeah, you can imagine for lawyers, they get burnt out. How mm-hmm. do I avoid that for lawyers that love lawyering? And I find the biggest thing is hiring really, really good lawyers and then leaving them alone. I don't micromanage them at all. They're super experienced and all they want is autonomy. They just want the autonomy to be left alone, work the cases, make a lot of money, right? Mm-hmm. So I want to provide that opportunity to them as well. And so that kind of lights me up. Every day there's a new challenge. You get up and you try to figure out the moving pieces.
Yeah, it's so fun. You know, when I don't know, maybe this was your experience, maybe not, but when I started my business, that's all I wanted to do. I wanted to work with clients. I just wanted to go somewhere and work with clients. And the economy wasn't great at the time. There weren't a lot of opportunities. So I just hung out my own shingle and started my own thing. And now what is so rewarding, I think one of the most rewarding aspects of what I do is to be able to create that opportunity for others. Like there's a place for my planners that work for me. You can come here, get paid. You don't have to worry about sales and marketing. You just come here and you do good work and just own it. It's so fun. Do you find the same?
Right. And so what I love about it is, like I said something that, along the lines of I'm a better owner than I am an employee. But that being said, what I've tried to do, like I know, especially in personal injury, lawyers are very independent and they should be, right? So what I want to do is create like an intrapreneur type of opportunity for them where the sky's the limit. The harder you grind, the harder you work, the more cases you put to bed, you bring in, the more money you make. I don't want to put a cap on what they make. So I'm always encouraging of what matters to the other person. Like you said, creating those opportunities as long as people see them for the opportunities that they are.
Yeah. Let's talk about the people, because right now there's such a push to maximize efficiency, with AI and outsourcing and, just like striving for the lowest possible cost of getting work done. But at the same time, I really feel like, maybe that's not the goal. The people are so valuable, and surrounding yourself in your business with really incredible people will still be really valuable. What do you think about that?
I think there's iterations you go through when you're younger, right? As a guy who's 57, my beard is much grayer than yours. I don't know how old you are, Darren, but the iteration I'm at in my life now is, and I just had this conversation with a PI attorney that's a friend of mine, is when you hire really high level A players, they do the work of 3 to 10 people, especially given AI tools, right?
Yep.
And they typically are worth their weight in gold. So when you're first starting out a law firm, you're going to say, oh, I want to pay something like X, right? But then you're hiring 3 lawyers at that salary to do the work of 1 A player, really high level attorney. Mm-hmm. I'd rather just pay the big price tag. I'm not afraid of those price tags. And what I found is 2 things happen. 1, let's say you're paying that much higher price tag. Mm-hmm. You're going to get the work of 3 people. And even though it's a little stressful if you've never done it, here's what I find. If you get over your own fear and you do it, all the pressure shifts to the person who took the job. It's off for you once they start because now they've got to produce and you got to just be clear on what you expect, right? And so they do the work. They do step up and they find ways to make themselves valuable day 2, not day 90, right? It doesn't take 90 days to find an A player. So for me, you don't need as many of the right people.
Sure.
Right. So I'm a big fan of having the right A players along with the right technology. That's an unbeatable formula. So yeah, I think that technology and efficiency is great, but you still need people to run the efficiency, run the machine and deal with the clients and get the results. Right. Yeah. So yeah, people are indispensable. They are the organization.
Yeah, they are. They are the thing. And there's so much power in bringing on that A player. They are going to benefit you in so many ways. And one of the biggest struggle, I think, is hiring that first person. It's so scary.
Well, you got to get over the fear of that price tag. But yeah, here's how I got there. I was like, I need somebody to do what I can do.
Yeah.
Now write down on a piece of paper what you think you would take a job at. I guarantee you there's not a 1, there's not a 2 in front of that number. So what makes you think you're going to find an A player unless you pay like A players deserve to be paid? So I got over that very quickly because I was like, oh, wait a minute. I would never take a job knowing my skill set and what I can bring to an organization. Why would I ever take a job that didn't allow me to make X year 1? Right. So yeah, it's fear, right? It's where an organization will cap out is the owner's mindset and the ceiling that the owner subconsciously or consciously sets on the organization. If you say you want somebody to replace you, but you put $100,000 price tag on it, that either says you're not that valuable or you're not looking at it the right way.
Interesting. That's a great way of putting that. That's reflective of the value you put on yourself in that role.
Right.
Yeah, that's really powerful. Looking back, did you think that this was inevitable building to this stage? I mean, like Warren Buffett, if he said in an interview once, he's like, Charlie Munger and I always knew we were going to be really, really rich. Like that, they just knew they were on that trajectory. Or did this growth kind of surprise you?
No, I kind of knew. I knew that I was going to build. I like the act of building. So I know the theme of your podcast is money, right? The name is millionaire attorney or millionaire lawyer?
Lawyer millionaire.
Lawyer millionaire. Sorry, I got it backwards. The lawyer millionaire. So, I always knew that I like to build, but you got to understand your relationship with money. For me, money's just a green paper. It's just a score. It's a way of scorekeeping. Did I win? Did I lose? Was it a push? Right. And if it was a push, I look at my time and go, well, was it really a push or did I lose time on this? Right. And how much time? I'm willing to risk some time for certain things, but I know my relationship with money. I don't look at it the same way. I don't have a scarcity mindset. I believe that there's a ton of abundance in the world and a ton of opportunity, right? It's just how each individual relates to money.
Your relationship with money is so critical. It's something that we talk with law firm owners a lot about. One of the biggest struggle points I see, and why I'm so passionate about this concept of building wealth outside the business. A lot of law firm owners are great at cash flow. They build this great business that generates great cash flow, but there's no cushion. They're on razor thin margins, right? They've built the $1 million house. They have the huge car payments. They're maxing out their credit cards, and their lifestyle keeps growing with their revenue. And so that makes it really challenging because, the bigger your lifestyle is, the more money you're going to have to set aside if you ever want to say, peace out, I want to do something different. And you almost become trapped and enslaved to the law practice and to the business. You have to grow the business. It's really a tough place to be. And scaling back is so much harder than scaling up your lifestyle. Has that ever been a struggle for you?
Again, for me, no. But my father, when he passed away and left my mom in a really great place because he drilled into me saving and investing and saving.
Awesome.
Right. So like I look at it as a car. I'm not a car guy. And I look at it and go, I don't know of any other thing I can own that the minute I own it, I'm losing money. So like for me, it rubs me the wrong way. I still drive a 2017 Jeep that's been paid off since 2017 because it gets me from point A to point B. But I also you have to know yourself when it comes to knowing money, right? So I think it comes down to, I'm a big fan of personality tests. I took a disc test with motivators, and I have a very, my view of money is very utilitarian, which means as long as there's a roof over my head and I'm dry and I'm warm, I don't care, right? I'm not emotionally attached to real estate or things. I like nice clothes and I like to eat good food, and I don't like to stay in cheap hotels or fly cheap, but I save and invest everything. I don't believe in keeping up with the Joneses. I could care less what car somebody drives. Matter of fact, for me, sometimes when I see a fancy car, I know 50% of those people can't afford it.
Yeah.
Right. In my head, I go, some of the toughest spots I've seen people are in are because they've driven a car they can't afford and a house they can't afford. And so golden handcuffs are still handcuffs nonetheless. And so I'm not a big fan of the lifestyle creep thing that occurs. So I'm a fan of set it and forget it. Like contribute to your 401k, contribute to your whatever instruments, that you would put somebody in before the money hits your account. So you don't even think about it.
Important. Yes. Have you ever read The Psychology of Money?
Well, it's funny that you say that. Somebody else just talked about that book, and I literally just downloaded it to my Kindle, I want to say last week. So I'm in the process. I'm going to be starting that book next.
You will love it. We read it last year or this year, the beginning of this year in our book club. He tells a great story about this guy who kept showing up at the restaurant. I forget, in some kind of fancy car, a Lamborghini or something like that. And then one day showed up in a completely different car, some old beater. And it's like, what happened? Because what we see, the wealth, and the point is, wealth is what you don't see.
Right.
And so often we confuse what we see with actual wealth. And that's a very difficult thing for people to understand. Yep. There's a corollary. I think another book he wrote later, I think it's the same author, is The Art of Spending Money. So, sometimes people like you who we've worked with have the opposite problem. They retire with lots of money. Yeah. And then I have to tell them, you need to spend something.
Right. I'm not a spender at all. And look, I like experiences. So if I'm going to buy something, do I take nice vacations? I do. Right. And I use that also as a test for my business. Can I leave for a month and go to Europe and come back and we've made more money? That means my systems are valuable to a potential buyer. If I can't do that, and a lot of people are like, I would never do that. I'm like, well, I know when I die, I did what I wanted to do. You do what you want to do. I don't care. Like, I don't want to feel like the most important person in my law firm. I want to feel like the most important person in my family. Right. Yeah. So for me, real wealth is, can I do what I want, when I want, with who I want, say no to anything I don't want to do, or spend time with who I don't want to spend time with, or whatever. I want that freedom. And that's always been my ultimate goal, freedom and security for my family.
We say that on this show, the ultimate form of wealth is freedom. And having, lots of things can sometimes be diminishing to your freedom.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
You start signing up for bills that you have to pay.
Right. Right.
Very
and
cool.
They call it trappings of wealth for a reason, right? Like,
yes.
When you can buy anything and you don't, that's kind of real freedom. Anything you want to buy. And I see people make that mistake all the time in a lot of different spaces, right? I have a friend who sold a perfectly good truck, got a much more expensive truck and a driver. And I'm like, why did you need a driver at this point? Like, you have to, in my mind, you got to be worth $500 million before you can't drive yourself, or get a Tesla for $60,000 that drives you around, right?
True.
So look, to each his own. I don't care. It's not my money. But I look at it like, I also look at signals when I pull up to do a deal. Like, if I'm going to look at real estate, I love real estate. I told you that, I think, in our pre-interview conversation. The guy in the room that looks the sloppiest is typically the guy that's got the most money in my mind. And I've been in a lot of real estate closings, a lot of deal making. Like, I don't want to wear a tie anymore, so I don't. But, I do like nice suits, because in our space, you still have to go to court. I mean, I'm not in court anymore, but I still have to deal with lawyers, and I still have to deal with team members. So I do like nice clothes. But that being said, you can get a custom made suit at Suit Supply, or you can pay twice as much to have somebody come to your office. Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
So go to Suit Supply, go, get in a car for half an hour.
Yeah. It all goes back to that concept of what we see versus what we don't see. And it's very tricky that way. You mentioned your dad was a great influence for you in teaching you the value of saving and investing. What have been some other really, really big personal or mentors or influences for you along the way in your journey?
I mean, I would say he was the biggest.
Yeah.
But I could tell you the anti-influences.
Okay.
Coming up in a 5-partner law firm, always new cars. They were all partners. They had no leverage built in the firm. And so what ended up happening is that firm collapses down to like 1-2 partners and 2 paralegals at the end of the day. And that's a very common story, because they don't build with leverage in mind. So they still did all the work. They were doing I get $400 an hour. I'm like, but you're still doing the work, right? So you're trading time for money versus leverage, right? So for me, I've always been willing to go to the stretch of comfortability to leverage myself appropriately, because I don't want to have to be the one doing the thing. I am passionate about getting up every day and building an organization that's growing, that runs without me. And that's always been my focal point. So it's just different. So the anti-mentors or the anti-influencers were the ones that never delegated, never built leverage in their firm. And I was like, that's a cautionary tale. Lived on high credit card debt and died penniless.
Yep.
Which is a shame if you're the named partner of a law firm. What are you building this for?
Yeah. But it happens. It really does happen.
It happens all the time. All the time.
For sure. Well, Thomas, what are you really focused on right now in your law practice, and what's next for you?
Scaling and blitz scaling. I'm fascinated with the idea of hyper growth in a compressed period of time. So there's a book that I'm just finishing up called Blitz Scaling. And then there was The Science of Scaling that I read by Dr. Ben Hardy. A, I love to acquire knowledge and skills, and B, these concepts make a lot of sense to me because the more things I get razor sharp on that I say no to, the more my focus goes where it's supposed to go. So I have that typical entrepreneur ADHD, whatever it is. It's undiagnosed, but I'm pretty sure I have it. And so what I do is I say I allow myself a certain amount of time to make whatever it is work or not work, but I can't take my primary focus off the law firm. So my number one focus will always be the law firm and what I am scaling that to.
Yeah. Yeah. Cool. Well, this has been a great conversation, Thomas. We're coming to the end here, but a lot of great nuggets in there for other law firm owners who are looking to scale and learn those cautionary tales ahead of time instead of by experience. Where can our audience go to learn more about you?
LinkedIn, I'd say, is probably the biggest place. Like, I'm pretty active on there. And I love talking to lawyers and, law related people. So that's probably the place I'd say.
Awesome. Well, we'll be sure to link that in the show notes. And thanks so much for joining us. It's been great talking to you.
Awesome, man. Thanks for having me on. I appreciate it, Darren.
All right. Huge thanks to Thomas Tona of Tona Law Firm for joining us today and sharing his perspective on building a firm with the end in mind. To connect with Thomas, check the show notes for the links. Now, friend, here's why I love this topic so much. I've seen too many law firm owners work incredibly hard, build successful practices, and yet still feel trapped because they never designed the business to function apart from them. The entrepreneurial shift that Thomas talks about, building with the end in mind, even when you're not planning to leave, is one of the most powerful mindset changes a law firm owner can make. And here at The Lawyer Millionaire, this is exactly what we help law firm owners do every day. Think like business owners, not just practitioners, so that their firm becomes an asset that supports their life instead of consuming it. If you're looking for a team to help you with this, check us out. We'd love to partner with you. And if you're a law firm owner who wants access to these kinds of conversations, practical frameworks, and a community of other entrepreneurial law firm owners thinking at this level, I'd like to invite you to join the Lawyer Millionaire community. It's simple to get started, and you'll find the link waiting for you in the show notes. Now remember, my friend, the ultimate form of wealth is freedom. I'm your host, Darren Wurz. This is The Lawyer Millionaire. See you next time.
Are you a law firm owner looking to build real wealth and break free from the daily grind? On the Lawyer Millionaire podcast, we share practical strategies to grow your practice, maximize profits, and create the financial freedom you deserve. Join host Darren Wurz as he interviews top experts and successful law firm leaders who share their secrets. Don't just practice law, build a legacy. Listen now to The Lawyer Millionaire wherever you get your podcast. The Lawyer Millionaire podcast is for informational and educational purposes only. It is not intended as legal, tax, or investment advice. Listeners should consult with a qualified professional before making any financial or business decisions. The views expressed by guests are their own and do not necessarily reflect those of Darren Wurz or Lawyer Millionaire Wealth Advisors.